What is the you're in Texas? What happens if a judge directs a verdict or a verdict of acquittal? Is that appealable?
I think double jeopardy attaches.
In other words, there's no distinction, as Michigan used to do before the Evans case, that there's a distinction of some kind between a judicial verdict of acquittal and a jury verdict of acquittal.
I don't know that that's the case in Texas. I think that once the jury's impaneled,
yeah, jeopardy attaches. If the jury's impaneled, they've been sworn. Jeopardy attaches.
Right, but in a bench trial, I thought it was after the first witness is sworn.
True, but the point is that after the acquittal by the judge, Michigan law allowed an appeal for error. Okay, on that finding. So. And this opinion from Evans says, independent of the substantive error, anyway, we affirm the result in the trial court regardless of the merits of the decision to direct a verdict of acquittal. In other words, they're saying we can't do anything. In error verdict of acquittal is the equivalent now in Michigan to a jury verdict and cannot be retried via the double jeopardy.
As it shouldn't.
Alan, do you know any other states?
as it should.
As it should be. But Michigan went on with this for a long time. In fact, big issue, Alan, I don't know if you remember this, but at a time, this is the way the practice of law, as I was growing up, used to be. Like, the cops would charge a defendant with, or the prosecutor would charge him with, some drugs and guns. The lawyers would waive the jury, and the judges would find them guilty of the drugs and not the gun, because the gun's a mandatory too. Yep. It's like a slow plea, they used to call it. You know what I mean? Prosecutor didn't want to bend on it.
It's an easy decision for someone that thinks that they're going to do 2 years in prison.
Well, the judges don't like their hands tied and compelled to send anyone to prison. If they're going to do it, they want to do it. They don't want to be told they have to do it.
I hear you,
but it was just interesting. And now the prosecutors won't waive juries on that stuff. There was But at times, so the other thing was a judge, if someone did a bench trial and found someone guilty of felony firearm alone without an underlying felony, Alan, correct me if I'm wrong, for a long period of time, that verdict would be reversed. Because,
correct. But a jury can do it.
A jury can do that, which makes no sense, right?
Right. But recently there's been another twist on that, which is in Wayne County, the judges were finding people guilty of felonious assault with a firearm, but not finding them guilty of the felony firearm accompanying that. And that has been reversed as an inconsistent verdict by the Court of Appeals.
Not after Evans.
About 15 years ago, they talked about that.
You know what? Yeah. I don't know if they handled this like... Wait, let me take this back. This was a verdict of acquittal. This was not necessarily a bench trial. They may still reverse judges at trial. Yeah. Alan.
Right.
This is just about directed verdicts as opposed to a bench
There's
trial.
A big difference. This is when somebody's found guilty after a bench trial, felonious assault, but not guilty of felony firearm.
It's an inconsistent verdict. It's like it'd be traditionally like there's no way that those facts can relate to, it's an impossible verdict. But it doesn't matter.
Well, a jury can do it, but a judge can't. Right.
It should only be if it hurts the defendant. You know what I mean? An acquittal should still matter. I don't know if that's the case. That's a good project if we had nothing else to do to figure that out.
When the system came together, it was to favor the defendant in all ways, isn't it? It sure doesn't seem that way, at least since I've been working in this office.
That's a good question. Alan, why don't you recite for us the actual history of the American justice system, starting with the founding fathers and their intention to have overcharging and 99.7%.
I don't think they wanted that.
I would be delighted to give a complete history, Michael, but I'd be remiss if I didn't welcome our latest guest here to the show, is Jamie Lowell, who's talking to us from on location, undisclosed location, but he's been kind enough to join us. Can you hear us, Jamie?
Jamie, what's happening?
Lansing, Michigan.
All right.
I thought I saw a certain Ryan Basor in the background.
What are you guys doing?
Just had dinner with Ryan Basor. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that sounds good.
Yeah, it doesn't live too far from here. And I had a day full of doing interviews for people for the botanical company retail store that's going to be opening in a few weeks here.
In Lansing?
Yeah. Yep. Same tomorrow. Full day of interviewing people tomorrow too.
Excellent.
So I'm staying.
You should have included me in on that process. I used to do that for the police department, Jamie. I have expertise in that area.
I'll be handling interviews myself on Saturday, so you're welcome to come up and join me.
All right. I might do it.
There's still time. You're welcome.